And welcome back to a new season for the New Generation Challenge podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Brett Parnell.
I'm Titi Fernandez.
And we're back. We last were here talking to you guys about All Stars 5. We now have content from the Challenge 41 back on the flagship. Vets versus New Threats.
Yeah, well, I think last time we talked was
The cast.
the
Yeah.
cast review, yeah. But I'm really liking this season so far. I think the public is also what from what I've seen, people are liking this a lot more than like maybe our spies, double agents
Yeah.
era type of thing. And I have this down later to say, but it really feels like War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
Like the the way the house looks, the confessionals, like the dark backgrounds and stuff, I'm really liking it.
You're
And
right. I never thought of that till now, but that
no, I
is.
was like, am I watching War of the Worlds 2 right now? Like,
I
but
guess
yeah,
that's why I've never thought of it. I've only seen War of the Worlds 1.
yeah, the second one's I think better, but
That's what I've
um
heard. If only we could find it anywhere.
you can get it on the Microsoft store, I think.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah. You have to watch it on the Microsoft player on your
Makes
computer.
sense.
But yeah, I'm liking it a lot so far.
All right, so let's just start. We're gonna quickly cover episode 0 since we missed that last week. But episode 0 never really has enough time to do a full episode on anyway. So,
Hmm.
Titi, what's your thoughts first of all of the interviews and that we essentially start with each new threat having a one-on-one with TJ, and anything that really stuck out to you?
The interview was kind of like it was kind of funny to me, like the way that TJ was like, I don't remember what he asked, but he asked them like a weird question. And so I thought that was kind of funny, but it was interesting to see. I really think we have a really good group of rookies right now.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I think that's was probably the best part about this and why they decided to start it that way is that the rookie cast is just offering so much compared to some previous rookie casts where most people were kind of new and didn't really know what they were doing, hasn't had friends on the show before if they come from an international show. And now it's like even people who don't necessarily know the challenge, you get an idea that they still know what goes into making a good reality show.
yeah, and I think a lot of the Brits this season, I think we were missing that kind of cast.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it makes a difference that like this is a US show. I'm sure that they can watch it there, but it's probably not like as popular there. So it doesn't seem like they're there to become like influencers or it
Right.
seems more like they're very comfortable with being themselves and they're not kind of playing up a character that they're not.
Yeah, exactly. So any new threats that stuck out to you from the interviews?
So on our notes, I know that you had Sydney uh Leica. How do you say her
Like a
name? I Leica, okay. Blue and then Jeremy, and
and
I would
all for
100%
totally
agree with
different
that.
reasons.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
so just looking at that list, I'm like, you know that like Sydney is going to be, if she comes back to the show a few times, kind of this new generation of, say, Bananas, who's just giving the best confessionals already this season. It just
So
takes. Go ahead.
I had that she kind of reminds me of a better version of Laurel,
Yeah,
like an
absolutely.
enjoyable, like because she has that physicality where she's a very physical person. She can compete, so it's not like a Amanda where she blabs and then there's nothing to show for it. So she's very confident with herself and she knows that she's very athletic, so she's actually able to show like she's not just a talker, I
Yeah,
guess.
absolutely. Yeah, that's a great comparison. Um, I think the one I do really like that. I think the one thing that is beneficial to Sydney's game, though, compared to say a Laurel, is that Sydney seems to be confident enough in herself that at least so far she's just going into her own skills. Hopefully she doesn't, in the case of Loyal, just find one person to completely shit on for self-satisfaction. But that, I think, is Loyal's problem, is that it always either seems to be Kara or Michelle that she's just targeting for no apparent reason.
So I think she also doesn't she wouldn't pop off on someone unprovoked, which I think is a big difference from Laurel.
Yeah,
Laurel will do
exactly.
that to anybody, but I think Sydney is maybe gonna be in the background hanging out, but the second that somebody crosses her or something, she's gonna come out and she's gonna stand up for herself. Um, and I think that's really good for a player to have that skill set.
Yeah, definitely. Um, but yeah, I can definitely see. We'll see who it ends up being, but there's probably someone at some point that's going to bring that out in her.
Yeah,
Now,
I
speaking
100%
of
agree.
Sydney and being so dramatic so far in the confessional room, and that she's really making sure to tell the audience who she is. In contrast with that, we have Lekka, who I also put on this list, who seems to be probably like confident in her own abilities. Definitely, she's very physical, but is also very calm and religious and focused on just letting everything go, and probably is going to be that figure that really helps the house get through their challenges.
Yeah, I've enjoyed seeing her so far. And another one I think I'm gonna enjoy, I don't know, because I don't like Big Brother people usually. I know you have Blue on there, but I
Yeah,
was gonna say America. I
yeah,
think America, especially with Turbo, I think he's gonna push her to her limit and she's gonna do really well.
yeah. I
So
agree.
I'm expecting to see.
That's a great point. Yeah, I just didn't figure that America fit necessarily from the beginning into a specific category that I was going for, but
Mhm.
um, I can't wait to see her play. I think both of them, even together, could be very different from, say, the names we've got from Big Brother in the past, and
Mhm.
maybe rebrand Big Brother's image in the show from, say, Fessy and Josh.
Yeah, I
And
really
then,
hope so.
speaking of Blue, um, her interview, I put her in this category because not necessarily focused on physical like the other three, but she was just hilarious
Mhm.
and could really bring a new dynamic to that house. I mean, I've never, the response that we got to her calling TJ a girl was just so funny. The fact that she was talking about um, people in my family are sick and that's why I need the money. And then she goes on second thought, I want to get breast implants. I was dying laughing.
Yeah, I think she's gonna be really good, another, like, confessional person that
Yeah.
is entertaining to listen to.
I mean, oh, imagine if we get like a couple of people that are just funny like that together at some point, because it looks like we're going to be getting new partners all the time. Watching,
Mhm.
say, Blue and Turbo do a challenge together could be one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. We'll have to see how that goes.
And then finally, Jeremy from Amazing Race, who is maybe going to rewrite Amazing Race's role in the challenge when on USA 1 and 2, Amazing Race players just kind of, oh, well, full
They were barely
disclosure,
there.
they were barely there other than Kayla. I think Kayla should
One
do the
sec.
main
Keep
show.
going.
I've said that for many years now. But TG will be back in a moment.
Sorry. Leo? Leo? Okay. Never mind. All right. Sorry about that.
That's okay. But other than Kayla from USA One, who I think should be given a shot in the main show, I know that she's a big fan of the challenge too. Before she ever came on,
I don't think he's back. I don't think she wants to do it, is what I
that's
heard.
fair. If
Sorry, keep going.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, that's totally fair if she's not interested, by all means. But she was about the only good Amazing Race player so far. Jeremy looks to change that he is just built for this show and also is very good on TV. I didn't see his season of Amazing Race, so I'm not sure if he was like that before. I know he went out in like the fourth leg, so I was not anticipating him to bring this much, but it seems to be just a maybe skills that didn't translate into Amazing Race that could be perfect on the challenge.
Yeah, it looks like someone that's very physical in that
Yeah.
ability.
And then speaking of physical players, we get right into the daily where, with one exception, well, not the daily, sorry, but like the preseason challenge. But with one
Hmm.
exception being Aviv, the vets are struggling and are not prepared for this at all when the new threats are running circles around them.
See, I also saw this. I'm gonna keep talking, but I also saw this in a way where it could be a strategic move because maybe the vets aren't don't want to come in and be like show or I guess stand out as the most competitive, the strongest to the rookies.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
saying
fair.
that's the case for everybody, but I don't think that they were like I think the rookies are more in the mindset of I'm going to give it my all. I need to stand out. I need to make a good
Yeah.
performance because I
And they
want
don't
them to
know too,
see.
like they've seen the world championships. They could be anticipating that maybe the vets are drafting them. Same as like a fresh
Hmm.
meat season.
Yeah, yeah, that's
But
true.
in contrast,
Um,
TJ decides to put a wrench into it, and we'll get to this in a second. But it's actually doesn't matter who you are, your draft order is dependent on your finish.
mhm. And I like that twist because I don't like when it's just um like the rookies picking the vets or vice versa.
Yeah,
I want to see them go head to head and them be able to pick like based on how well you did in that competition.
yeah, absolutely. And it also the idea that rookies were drafting veterans made for a neat dynamic as well, because we get a
Hmm.
situation where amongst the rookies who really know the challenge, they have a better
Hmm.
idea of who they want to pick.
Yeah, because also like independent from that challenge, you probably know like I feel like if I was there and I was a rookie in that position, I would kind of take that with a grain of salt because I know someone like Bananas is definitely not going to be giving it his all because he knows this is a long game. He knows that I'm not going to go kill myself on that mountain right now when we're going to have a daily tomorrow and we're going to have to do things. And like, I guess the only time that we've seen that be the first elimination was when Rogan went home in Vendettas or something like
Yeah,
that. Um, so I think they kind of know, yes, it matters how you finish, but at the end of the day, they are probably expecting the rookies because it's usually the rookies who pick their partners
right.
from what I've seen. Um, so they are probably expecting that, so they kind of know I don't want to be like I would if I was there, I would expect somebody like Bananas to not give it his all. If someone like Wes was there, I would expect the same thing from him, um, because you kind of know the way that they play their games.
Speaking of West, it's interesting to see some players that have not been on for a while, but you can
Mhm.
tell the cast is good enough when players like Wes are actually engaging with their thoughts on episode 0 onto Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know he does like he has a Patreon type
Yeah,
of thing that he does reviews on. But yeah, I think I feel like they should have just made episode 0 and 1 kind of a big premiere, kind of like what Survivor does, like a very long premiere. If they would have just made it 2 hours long
yeah,
or
that would make sense. Especially, I
because I
mean,
think
what
especially
we're gonna
episode
delay ridiculousness for another hour.
yeah, and I think something like an episode 0 is most of the time it's not really important to watch.
Yeah,
But this time, I think because they had their first daily, it is something that should have been part of the first episode because they don't really advertise much for episode 0. It's just kind of like maybe they post about it on Instagram or Twitter, but they say the premiere day is like
yeah.
episode 1. So I think,
And also, I mean, if they did it one time or the other and made it a longer episode. It would just make it so much easier for the cast when they want to like have their own premiere parties and stuff.
Yeah,
Seeing how many
100%.
people were in New York for Challenge Mania's party. I was having FOMO after going to the last two for 39 and 40
hmm
and didn't get to go to the one for 41. And then there were other groups of cast members doing parties in Miami and LA.
Yeah. And I think I haven't had the chance to go to one of those, and I hope I do in the future, but I think that is a very cool experience from what I've heard from you and just seen on
Yeah.
social media.
All right.
Um,
So before we'll quickly get into the draft, just give our thoughts on the teams, at least for now, because we see they're very short lived. But before we do that, it wouldn't be a challenge season without Johnny Bananas trying to find a girl that's way too young for him. And in this case, it's D.
yeah, I can't say I
The
didn't expect that,
Yeah,
but
I was gonna say very predictable, but
um, we'll have to see how that goes because we did see kind of a preview. I think it was Will or someone in like a preview ad thing
yeah,
that he said him and Dee were used to hook up. So it's kind of a different dynamic there. Um,
interesting.
but
And
yeah, very expected.
speaking of the draft going on, Bananas and D are a team again, at least for a week.
Yeah. I definitely did see that coming. He made it very clear that's who
Yeah,
he wanted to pick.
I mean, I think the
Um,
funniest pick, at least at this point, was um, watching Sydney pick Leroy. Not because I don't love this team. I've always been a fan of Leroy's while watching the challenge. I've been a fan of Sydney's ever since she came on to Survivor. So it's actually a really good team in
mhm,
my mind. But at the same
mhm.
time, when Sydney makes her selection and you just see Leroy confused, what she picked a guy who can't win.
I think, well, and because Leroy is someone that we've seen time and time again not win, and most of the time what hits him is the mental, the puzzles,
Yeah.
the things like that. I think
Uh,
maybe
Leroy, you're
um
now working with a lawyer on that kind of stuff.
I think that's also what she was saying. She says this guy's super physical.
Yeah.
I can do or I can take over the puzzle part of things.
Yeah.
But I will say I was surprised that Naya was the last pick.
Yeah, that
I
was
was surprised
surprising.
because um she's never even on all her seasons that she's done, she's never been an early boot. She's even if she doesn't come in the best shape, she still kind of like holds her ground and is good at staying out there, which in the daily she got 8th place, but so she didn't lose.
Yeah,
So that was interesting to me.
that was also just one thing within this that I picked up last night, actually, even though it's kind of old. Derek Chavez was on the Instagram live last night and he was talking a lot about the daily, but he said, despite what we think, it actually took like 3.5 hours.
Oh wow.
And Derek was also saying that there were a lot of people that went well at the time. So it's not surprising.
We're not well.
Yeah, like with
Oh,
the
okay.
altitude and such. He said he was
Mm,
ha- having respiratory issues, as was quite a few of the players. So
yeah.
interestingly enough, they were all veterans. So maybe they didn't prepare, but then again, Sydney came sixth and she openly tells TJ, I didn't prepare for anything.
But moving on to the daily, it's called Mudball
Yeah,
Madness, and
this
like we
was fun.
said, some helicopters. There was 2 rounds of helicopters dropping, but they were dropping balls, and the players had to collect them while being tied together. The red balls were 1 point, blue and gray were 5 points, and the gold balls were 10 points. I think this was a great challenge to start off with.
Yeah, I
I
agree. Go ahead.
I'm I was gonna say I'm kind of it kind of brings me back to I think it was X's one where um Diem was there
Yeah,
and Emily Schramm and I don't remember who the Oh, it was like Camilla and I don't remember who the last girl was, but they were like mud fighting for those balls, and that's just what it kind of brought me back to. And I really like those challenges where they are slipping and sliding everywhere. So
Yeah,
I thought that was a great one.
this one was really fun. It was also really at this point they don't know they're changing, and it really tested those skills to work with their partners, seeing that they were attached to each other. We quickly get a sense of who's going to be potentially a strong team this season and who's got a lot of work to do.
I think a strategy, if I was there, I would probably take the strategy of slow and steady wins the race instead of just trying to run to like from the beginning start sprinting around because again, you're in a mountain, there's different altitude, you're in a different country, you're eating different foods.
Yeah,
So your body's not, even if you're very well trained, your body's not going to be as prepared as it would be if you were doing something physical back at home. Um, and I think that's just the strategy I would have taken because, like we did, unfortunately, see Adrienne had to get stitches on her foot. Um, and I think if you
yeah,
would have
that was
just
scary.
been more, just slower, more careful, you would be able to kind of save your energy to get more balls later and on in the game.
Absolutely.
TJ said winners are safe from elimination, obviously, and the weird twist is that they can save one team from being nominated. I
Which I
like
really
that
like.
last, yes, and I really like that last place is automatically in. I think that's the best way to
That
do
needs to
it.
happen every season.
It needs exactly, and we saw that in
Otherwise,
season 40.
if you're voting off two teams, you're just going to see the same team going in over and over and over again till they inevitably go home.
And then the people that aren't doing anything, because what ends up happening there is there's no incentive to not lose.
Yeah,
And that's something we saw on Ride or Dies. I remember I heard Devin talking about how, or he did admit that he didn't try to win in the dailies because he knows that if I, there's no, there's no benefit from winning really because you're, as long as you have friends in there, then you're not going in really.
right. Um, so then we also see that the top 8 teams are getting points this year. Um, did
Mhm.
did you catch what the points actually do? I know I didn't.
So PJ just kind of said they're going to accrue and it's going to be crucial in the future of the game.
Okay.
Um,
So I
I
didn't totally miss a key element of the show.
no, it's my guess is that it's going to be something that's going to matter in the final,
Yeah, that would make sense.
kind of like the karma point last year. And I like this a lot better than the karma point system
Yeah.
because it's about your performance. And again, this is another incentive to wanting to win the challenge and not just being like, I just don't want to get last.
And then it
Because
could, if that's right, which would make a lot of sense, it could potentially contribute to seeing a champion from the actual best player across the whole show.
absolutely. And
Whereas the 40 with the cover points was effectively if you're in era one, you win the popularity
popularity,
contest.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
who doesn't like
especially
era one? They were the start of this show. They're mostly parents now.
especially because they were with the exception of Rachel, they were all the ones to go out pretty
Yeah.
much at the beginning. So yeah. So so going out the beginning, you only have one person who's still there. You're gonna be like, wow, this girl, the badass. She's the only Air One standing. You're gonna give her more points. Um, but in the game, we saw that Olivia kind of explains that she needs to win this, and she openly says she's coming for Bananas because he made her and Michelle going against each other in season 40, and
I'm
she
just
makes it
gonna
very
say
clear.
right here, thank you MTV for TT and I's enjoyability of this episode. It was kind of sad to know we were watching the challenge without Michelle. You gave us 20 seconds of it, and it was, as much as we love Olivia and sad she went home, one of the best 20 seconds of season 40.
Yeah, it was yeah, when she won that, and obviously we were both sad seeing them going together, not only
Yeah,
because they're friends, but because we love Olivia. But um yeah, I think Michelle just kind of needed a little break from the challenge. She had done a
yeah.
lot of seasons back to back, but I
And it gives it a
feel like
interesting dynamic where they could do a season like this when, because they've done so much back to back, Michelle, Tori, Devin all decide maybe this season is the exact same season that they all wanted time off.
mhm.
And then there's Johnny and Anissa, but
um
they're never taking a break.
yeah, seriously. CT is struggling during this
Yeah,
challenge. His partner
yeah,
Tay.
yeah. It's from
Sorry, I'm
Australia.
very bad with names. Sorry, I'm like horrible at names.
That's
In
okay.
my nursing cohort, there's 33 of us now, and I still don't know everybody's name.
Fair enough.
I'll give you that. Um, but yeah, he's struggling, and it looks like we saw him at the end kind of say, like, thank you for motivating me to get that last ball or whatever it was.
Yeah,
But this is pretty typical for CT to see him at the beginning struggling. Season 40, he didn't have a very good showing, partly because he didn't really get to warm up because Era
fair
1
one.
was getting destroyed. But I don't know, I
39,
wonder.
he got beat as a mercenary.
Yeah.
CT,
No,
I'm
he
just.
didn't. No, he didn't.
Oh, did
No,
he
he
not?
didn't.
Okay.
He took Asaf home.
Oh, right, yes.
But yeah, we'll have to see how he does in the rest of the season.
Watching
Um,
CT though in that mountain challenge, I'm just like, might CT be like, so like I'm really into professional soccer. And I'm like, might
mhm.
CT be one of those players who, if you retired at 35, would have went out as a legend, but because you retired at 38, goes out as your last 3 years was spent really not doing
Or
much of
even like
anything.
even a
Yeah,
bananas right now. Like obviously he's still making finals and doing very well at his age, but if he would have just retired after he won Total Madness,
yeah,
would there even be an argument about who, like if he came out and because that before that he had won 7 out of 10 of his finals, because I remember that's what he said on Ride or Dies.
the other thing I just had written down when we see CT struggling in both challenges so far this season is obviously not to discredit anything from CT. He's a 5-time winner, but let's apologize for, well, I know you and I weren't doing it, but MTV people, let's apologize for laughing at Michelle when she made that comment at reunion last year. For what she knows, she might have been right.
Yeah, and I think
If you
during that,
come into the challenge starting in season 37 and then it's not
no, because he
unheard
won
of.
that.
I know he won that, but I'm saying it's not unheard of for the last 5 seasons for someone to think what Michelle said.
Yeah, because she saw him go from winning to not doing well at all.
Yeah.
I will say one thing about CT. I've seen on
I'll tell you
social
something
media
funny after the episode.
pictures of him in recently, like today, like
Yeah.
not when this was filmed, and he looks a lot more fit than what he was
Oh,
at this
that's
point
good.
of the season.
So maybe All Stars coming up later this year.
I don't know. I feel like he would go for 42. I think
Possibly.
CT still likes doing the flagship. But obviously, we already talked about Adrienne cutting her foot, having to get
Yep.
stitches. That looks very painful.
That sure
I can't
does.
imagine. I've had stitches on my fingers twice because I've cut my hand drinking a couple times,
Ooh.
and it hurts on your fingers. So I can't imagine on your foot,
Yeah.
because you have a lot of nerve endings on your hands and your feet. But our placements are as follows: Bananas in D, first place, and then the points. So first place gets 8 points, and then all the way down. So Bananas in D, second is Aviv and Jeremy, third is Theo and Izzy, fourth is Olivia and Cedric, fifth is Michaela and Will, sixth is Ashley and Gabe, 7th is Leroy and Sydney, and 8th is Naya and Justin, with Rogan and Adrian coming in last place.
And that makes up the top half of the season. So
Mhm.
half the teams have points, half the teams don't have points. It'll be interesting to see going forward as players get eliminated how much or how many points still start getting awarded each week.
Yeah, I agree. Are you coming in or no? All right, Leo can't decide if he wants to come hang out in here with us or not. Um, and then it was a men's elimination, which is what we found out.
Yeah.
So,
Which they don't explain a lot till the end, but about what happens. It seems to be a big theme of this episode about if it's a men's elimination, what happens to the female who's partnered with the man who gets eliminated.
my guess is that she will become kind of the rogue agent that we've
That's
seen.
what it seems to look like after, but
Yeah.
it seems like going in, most of the cast assumed that the loser would be going home.
Female
And
loser?
yeah, no, like the whole team would go home.
See, they always say that, but that's just never happened.
That's
It's only
it.
happened on Bloodlines.
I was saying that when I was watching that I'm like, they're giving them so much airtime for like Naya and Adrienne worried about am I going home that they're not going home.
Yeah, and it's also like that's only ever happened on Bloodlines, which that was your sibling or whatever,
Exactly.
so that makes sense. Um, but I don't know. I don't know if they just haven't really watched the show, which fair, but at the same time, if that were the case, then there would only be so many eliminations.
Yeah.
They would run out of people.
All right. So moving down after the daily, we see a couple of things. First of all, just carrying over from episode 0, Rogan and Izzy are still a couple.
Mhm.
That was quick, but not
I had
unsuspected for
heard
Rogan.
I had heard that he actually had a girlfriend before that,
Oh,
and that because she had posted something on social media or something, but that he was still with the girlfriend and she found out that he was cheating on her.
oh, geez.
So, but it was like a long-term girlfriend, so that's
What
pretty
is with
sad.
the British guys on this show?
I don't know, with the exception of Theo, but
Yeah, with the
um
exception of Theo. Good point. We can like one of them. And I
but
mean,
yeah, bananas.
shout out while we talk about British Men of the Challenge. Congratulations to Kyle on his wedding this weekend.
Hmm. That looked like a lot of fun. We saw a lot of the
It
challenge family there.
sure did. Bananas was there, Devin was there, Wes Nelson was made an appearance in Italy.
Hmm. Yeah, that looked like a lot of fun for them, and I'm sure that Kyle had fun hanging out with them as well.
Yeah,
Bananas is trying, he was strategizing with Derek on who would he who he should put in.
yeah,
Um, and he's just kind of trying to figure out what would the best strategy be because he obviously is hypothesizing that the person that they save doesn't get a vote. And we saw how that went later on. But sorry, in the club, we have Rogan saying that he wants to win and he wants to make Izzy proud and is manifesting his win and mentions that he wants either Ben or Justin if it's physical.
yeah. Which really, at least I thought, was of a neat dynamic to see because the MTV players are all like, oh, if somebody wants to face someone in elimination, you just give it to them in week 1 of the challenge. Meanwhile,
Mhm.
like players that come from other shows like Sydney and Blue weren't totally sold on the idea because they're used to shows where you have to vote
Especially
somebody out.
especially if it's a rookie,
Yeah.
you always give them who they want. You don't have a relationship with the rookies. You like that is the best strategy to cause the least amount of shakeups around the
But if
house.
you but in this cast, it's the half rookies. So why would I think we're finally getting to a cast where the rookies might be saying, "No, Johnny, we're not here to play your game," just because season after season other rookies have been.
Yeah, and Olivia is so she's obviously in her alliance with Theo and stuff, and
Yeah,
She mentions that she loves Naya, but she wants Rogan to come back to the UK alliance, and Naya's not happy with her partner going in if Olivia votes for them. And I just feel like it shows how hard Olivia is playing this
Yeah,
season,
absolutely.
and she's just there to win. And she's like, Naya, I'm not going to say your name. I'm not going to put you in the sand, but at the same time, I need this person to come back for my alliance.
Yeah. I also think that the age demographics of this season probably contribute to that a bit, in that the new threats aren't necessarily 20-year-olds who want a career on television. Like you look at somebody like Sydney who has a career in law, someone like America, who I know is quite busy doing her own things on social media already that she picked up after Big Brother. Um,
Hmm.
they don't have as big of an incentive to fight for callbacks as maybe some other rookie casts.
And I think they've also kind of recognized this from just seeing maybe other rookies. But if you're coming in trying to, if your sole purpose is just to get a call back and you're just trying to make a splash, it comes off as not very genuine
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it usually gets you in trouble. So I think these people are like, I'm just going to come in, be myself. If I get a call back, great. If I don't, I have another life outside of this.
Yeah.
So,
And it's almost that's probably even the approach production's taking too, is I see them giving callbacks to people that play that way, as
mhm.
opposed to giving callbacks to people that you can tell are just there for followers.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, I don't, since they do come from other shows like the Big Brother people, like, yeah, you probably will gain some followers from going on the challenge, but you were just on CBS network that
Yeah,
has a lot more viewers than MTV. So it's also like, it, I don't know. Some people are, I've definitely like someone like Fessy or Josh or whatever, they're just kind of trying to ride out their reality TV career.
right.
And it just isn't very entertaining to watch. So I'm
True.
optimistic, but still we'll have to see.
So I'm gonna now quickly share. Speaking of the club scene, I know there's a photo that you want to point out, which is great. So let me know when you can see that and take the floor.
So we see this big argument between Bananas and Theo. And the first thing I could focus on, I couldn't even focus on what they were saying, is just how their height difference. You can scroll up a little bit just so you can see the top of his head. Yeah. The height difference between those two is so funny to me. Like it looks like Theo is Bananas' dad and he's just like yelling at, or he's like his little child is yelling at him, throwing a temper tantrum. That's literally all I could think about. But
Yeah, very true.
yeah, Bananas is saying Theo is coming after him. Theo is very clear that he's on Olivia's side. And he says, like, me and Bananas haven't really played against each other, but at the same time, I have a girlfriend and like he went against my girlfriend, and I'm not gonna just like still play with him, I guess,
Yeah.
if just because he's been my friend, I'm gonna stay with my
Especially when
girlfriend.
Johnny's been talking about already going back to whatever went on in 40 about I need to get Olivia out of the house.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like,
So
it's day one. For
I
all
thought
we
that
know,
was,
TJ is gonna pair you up in when you have like 10 people left into a team of vets and a team of new threats and make you run the final against each other. In that case, if you, Johnny, you want Olivia on your team.
yeah, 100%. And yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was pretty funny,
That
and
was
I
funny.
wanted to share that in there.
All right, so moving on. After the club scene, we see Derek and Justin having a interesting moment where they're bonding over being two gay men in the challenge. Derek at the time says he's not going to say Justin's name, but then that's kind of where Derek was focusing on telling his side of the story on Instagram Live last night, is that Derek was explaining that he realized no matter what he did, Justin was going to go in, and he has to at the same time play his own game. And I can't agree more either with that.
Yes, I agree with that, but I think when you're forming a bond with a person that goes beyond playing the game
Yeah.
as like a one-on-one person. Hey, we're both gay men in this show. I've been where you are, being the first guy out. Like, you just gonna have to take it on the chin and just like use this to prove yourself. Like, I feel like he should have had a conversation maybe with him before
Agreed.
deliberation and just said, "Hey, I told you I'm not going to say your name, but if the votes are going your way and there's nothing I can do, I'm going to also take into account my own game. So I'm not going to vote for somebody else
Yeah.
if they're going your way."
Yeah.
And I think that's
He
where the
could have
big
said it better,
miscommunication.
but I think if people go and see what Derek was saying later, I can
Hmm.
understand where he was at least coming from.
Hmm.
Um, but hey, I mean, at this point, Justin not only gets a chance to show that he's a competitor in this game, but takes it. So,
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just, and I agree because we've seen things like this in the past, like Bananas and Michelle, when they're like, when you take topics or friendships or bonds that you have outside of the game, having them in the game can break them for some people.
yeah,
Um, so I think he did the right thing. You should always focus on your game, not on the game of somebody who you just met 2 days ago. But I think because he told them, I'm not going to say your name, this, that, and the other, you should have just communicated, hey, if it's happening this way, I'm going to have to say your name. But if it's not, I won't say your name.
yeah, absolutely. And speaking with about what we were talking about earlier in terms of what happens to the females, at this point, Leroy and therefore with him, Sydney, don't want it to be Ben or Justin because they're partnered with two of Leroy's closest allies in Naya,
Hmm.
who he's been an ally with for a few seasons, and Nani,
They were
who
partners. Yep.
they were partners, and Leroy and Nani were on the real world together.
Yeah, and they were partners on X's too, I
Yeah,
think. So they've obviously known each other for a while. Um, no, they weren't on the same real world.
were they not?
No, it was Jordan was in Naya's real world.
No, Nani.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about never
No,
mind.
yeah,
Yeah.
Jordan was
No,
with
yeah, they
Naya in
were. They were.
Portland. Nani and Leroy were on Vegas.
Yeah. And they ran the final together on
Yeah.
whatever season that was. One of the spy ones. Um, we have Ashley, Nani, and Aviv are not in the UK alliance and they don't want Bananas to, or they're not, or they're on Bananas' side.
Yeah.
It surprised me that Ashley was part of this because I feel like Ashley, don't really see her playing with the, and to me, Bananas is Vacation Alliance, even though he
Yeah.
wasn't in it in 40, he was the Vacation Alliance. He was the CEO of the Vacation
Yeah.
Alliance, as I think Zach said one time. But he's still he's like the founding member
Yeah.
of that. So
I
I've also seen
It doesn't surprise
Ash.
me as much with Ashley though, because I think coming back from suspension, which we all know effectively is where Ashley was, um, she kind of is probably, at least amongst vets, the biggest
Playing
free
it
agent in
safe.
this game and can go anywhere she wants just to keep herself in one day longer.
Yeah. And
Because,
she's
go
never
ahead.
played with Olivia. She's
Yeah.
so it's not like she's gonna go running off and join her
And
alliance, and she knows she would be at the bottom of that if she did.
and
So it
also
is the
she
smart
hasn't
move.
played with Olivia, but if you come from Ashley's perspective, you know that Amanda's played with Olivia and obviously are on complete opposite sides.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
Ashley, I think, is still best friends with Amanda. So,
Um, but yeah, moving on to deliberation. This was kind of interesting because Bananas and D were kind of banking on the fact that the save team does not get a vote,
yeah,
and we quickly find out that's not the case.
that
So
was
they
a fun surprise to see Bananas totally misplay this because
misread the game. Yeah.
he just had his impression of what TJ said as opposed to focusing on what TJ actually said.
it also makes me think if for some reason maybe that was the original plan that like the save team doesn't get a vote and then like last minute they decided like let's throw a wrench in there.
Let's embarrass
Um
Johnny.
yeah.
That would be funny.
So I don't know
Maybe a
because
question
I
for TJ at reunion.
yeah. TJ, did you change the rules last time? Um so yeah, they save Theo and Izzy and I like Dion Survivor, don't get
Yeah,
me wrong, but and you can disagree with this, but in my opinion, she's coming in a little bit too strong
yeah,
because she's partnered with Bananas. She's kind of acting like she's a vet.
yeah, I agree.
And
And in
um
addition to being partnered with Bananas, she's coming in with her reputation on Survivor as a winner. And that might be contributing to her acting like, even if she doesn't think
yeah,
she's a vet, thinking that she's the queen of the new threats.
yeah. And again, don't get me wrong, I do like her, but I think I don't personally like when people kind of let their ego get up in their head and they're
Yeah,
like thinking that they're something that they're not, I guess. Um, so I really like when Olivia kind of snapped back at her when she tried to get lippy and
yeah,
was like, what did she say? It was like, you do realize there's a vet in every single team.
exactly. And then we see some votes that are notable. Obviously, as we just mentioned, Derek votes for Justin, leading to a fracture there. Aviva and Jeremy also vote to take out Jake in this elimination. Jake is partnered with Kara, so there might be a little 40 distrust on that part. But after that, we get to the elimination arena, which, like we said, is really Warrior Worlds ish. And we're playing a game called Inertia, where players are effectively, I don't know how else to describe it, but on a hamster wheel. And in order to win, you have to not only run on said hamster wheel, but make it over the top of three bumps, going there and going back. So you have to effectively push the wheel up the track 6 times in order to claim your win. Um, with having to focus on getting over the bumps, it does allow for some strategy. And we see Justin put that to great use, especially with his cheerleading experience. And probably, even though Rogan is the stronger player, Justin is the smarter player and the more flexible player in this elimination.
Yeah, I really do love an underdog win. And again, I wrote this is literally War of the Worlds because the arena that they were in, and like the darkness and Team UK versus Team USA, like the different people, like we obviously saw Banana screaming and yelling like he usually
Yeah,
does in the arena. And then I remember Olivia was saying something and then Theo like cut her off because they were cheering for Rogan, but she was like, babe, like I'm trying to do this or something like that. So yeah, I like this elimination that it didn't favor like it could have been anybody's game. Um
yeah.
and I do like how the underdog Justin was able to win. And I remember he was, I think, because he's with Naya, so he was the last pick. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
because she was the yeah. So it's really cool to see like the last pick of the rookies kind of come in and take out a vet and a champion
and
vet.
then with
If
Rogan going home, we see that Adrienne is still in the game. She's what's considered the hangnail at this point. I'm sure TJ is going to
Mhm.
explain more of what that is going forward. And in the preview, we see we're getting new teams. So I'm anticipating something like USA 2, where everybody is partnered with everybody till they can't be anymore. And then maybe
Mhm.
it's a twist.
I
But
think that
do
was
you,
USA one. USA
USA
one.
1,
Yeah.
yeah. That would, yeah, you're right. But do you want to get into players of the week and losers of the week before we wrap up?
Yeah, I didn't write them on our sheet, but
I forgot
basically
we did this until you posted the notes. So
Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna write them, but then I was like, I can just kind of think of it on the
yeah,
spot because I didn't want to be too late for this. But basically, we pick a player, both male and females, that we think had the best showing in the episode. So it could be somebody that had a good showing physically, politically, in the challenge, or whatever. And then our loser of the week, kind of just the opposite, somebody who doesn't necessarily have to be a loser, but who just didn't have a very good showing.
yeah,
Um, for male, I feel like I have to pick Justin
nice.
because from what we said, he went from being the last one to pick his partner all the way to winning an elimination, kind of being down on himself and like being kind of scared to be going down against Rogan, and seeing him win, I think was a really good
Yeah.
moment for him.
So for me, for male, I'm gonna pick Theo. Um, being able to have your number one nemesis in the show save you politically is just great. So that's where I'll go.
Yeah, loser male, or not, no,
Winner female.
female, sorry. Female of the week. I am probably going to say Olivia because that girl is here to win.
Yeah,
She
nice.
has she has like a very strong alliance of the UK people. And even though Rogan, one of the members, went home, I think she's still pretty well sheltered. And if, let's say, the Team USA Alliance wins the challenge next episode, I still don't know if they would go in and rock the boat right away because
Yeah,
they haven't taken a shot at a vet yet.
nice.
So I think she's pretty well protected and she has a lot of strong members in her alliance.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good pick. My female winner of the week, I'm gonna go with Aviv here. I'm counting episode 0 in this, but I think getting Jeremy as her partner for a rookie
She was first pick. She was first pick.
yeah, is gonna be very valuable for her game. She certainly still has relationships that she built on 40, even though she came back so late. So I think she's in a very good spot.
Yeah,
And
that's a
then
really good pick.
Aviv also seems to be reaching out to newer people. Like we right away, for example, see her and Sydney forming a bond while climbing the mountain together.
Yeah, and her and Jeremy finished second on the daily too, so I
Yeah.
think that's a great pick.
All right. So getting into our losers of the week, do you want to start male or female?
We'll just go with male because we did
Yeah.
for the winners. I would probably have to say Bananas for
Yeah. I'd
miscalculating
agree.
and putting too much trust in what he thought was going to happen.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. I mean, Rogan didn't have a bad episode. He just lost fairly. Bananas, in contrast,
And that was a
completely
hard challenge.
It
It's not
was.
like
Bananas, in contrast, completely misplayed the episode. So I would agree with you there. What about for female?
for a female, I think I'm just gonna have to say D. I think she's
Mm,
coming in a little bit too hot, and I think
good.
um I mean, she is partnered with Bananas, which he does have a strong alliance, but I think she needs to kind of take a step back, kind of do what Kara is doing of like,
Yeah.
because everybody knows she's very physical. Everybody knows that she wants Survivor. Everybody knows that you're a threat. If you're starting to get lippy
Yeah.
and make people mad, it's not gonna go well for your game, especially when you're a partner with one of the most hated people.
True. I'm gonna go with Adrienne here. Just because nobody really knows what her role in the game is left. She got
Hmm.
injured, so not having a partner, she could be completely out there. We know even if they're mixing partners up, she's one extra female, so there'll be somebody left without a partner. I'd assume it'll still be her until the next elimination. So it's just kind of an unknown.
Depending on how bad her cut was, stitches, we
That's
usually
true.
take them out after 7 to 10 days.
Mm,
Um, I don't know how it's there. Where are they at in
Chile.
Chile? I don't know how the doctors there are.
I'd imagine
Wh-
they'd probably have an American doctor come with them.
They probably don't. They
Oh,
probably
really?
do local ones,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Because that's what we know from the other seasons. They just take them into the
Oh, well, there you go.
local EMS. Um, so
So then it
I don't
could
know.
be
I
very different for all we know.
it all depends on how well it's healing. So usually you don't want to submerge in water, so
Mm,
it could be not good for
yeah.
her. But I don't know.
All right.
I would
Well,
agree with that pick.
that's our show for the week. Thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you all for episode 2.
Yeah. Bye.